We're back with the Director of the Department of Corrections and Senator Brant McCreadie. Mr. Director, before we went on a break, we're talking about, I asked you about the conditions at the prison. Now, when the prison was first built, and they actually still to this date, what is the maximum capacity that facility was built for?
Well, Senator, back then the design of the prison, which is now a corrections facility, was initially designed for a 300 manhold. Obviously, we exceeded that right now. We exceeded at 700. There are 16 housing units throughout the facility, and that includes the one in Agustin. And that what makes the place very difficult because you need so many manning in those facilities. Mandates requires that each housing unit at least be manned by 3 individuals minimum. There's been a lot of chances where we actually only have 2 officers on duty, and at times possibly 1 when a relief doesn't show up. We got to consider that these folks, you know, we place them on duty for 12 hours, and when the replacement relief does not show up, that individual tends to stay for an additional 4 or 5 hours or whatnot. But again, the design of the prison, because it's there's several satellite housing units throughout, requires more manning. As if it was the modern style, you know, you require probably just half of the manning. The way it was designed, when you walk in that prison, Mr. Lujan, I will tell you that I feel for the officers that are actually checking downrange to ensure that the inmates or the detainees are in compliance or doing what they should be doing, because there's definitely a lot of blind spots that the central officer is not able to see if something is taking place. So that's why it's important that normally there's 1 in central, and 2 are walking downrange to ensure that everything is going well.
A couple of weeks back, one of a former colleague, mine, of course, Senator Joanne Brown, was talking about, of course, their officers down there and the overtime they're getting, and she basically was asking their board to allow to hire more security, I guess, police over there. And she said, you can only do so much. They can only work overtime so much. They have other lives too. They have things that they have to take care of.
Lives. That's correct.
And when you're talking about blind spots and things like that, it's just human nature. If you're working too much, you're not as fresh anymore. Your mind is not as fresh. If you have a lot of blind spots, you might forget things. I mean, we were talking about master locks to there. I mean,
it becomes a liability.
It becomes a liability, and a liability, not just a government liability, but it can cost a life of one of your guards.
That is correct, Senator. That is correct. With regards to overtime, yes. You know, these Governor and I are collaborating, and he's really expressed to me yesterday that he would like to move forward and get DOC to hire more people. I gave him a rough number of 50, but in reality, we do need more than that, simply because, again, the way the housing unit is designed. The officers have other duties such as transport, medical transport, court transport, dialysis transport, transport to visitations with family members with the kids. So they're not just doing corrections guard duties, they're doing other duties out of what was initially taught they won't be doing. So, you know, it's really rough, and hats off to these employees that's been working in there. Definitely a lot of them, a large number of them, are very dedicated and understand the crisis that this government is going through. And, you know, they're making good things happen. But at the same time, they realize, too, that, hey, we only could do so much.
That's right. That's right.
And so...
Now talking about that, talking, of course, the funding, he's asking the governor that he said, hey, I need 50 more officers. You know, funding is always an issue.
Absolutely.
You know, if it wasn't an issue, then we'll have, I guess, a perfectly designed prison. You have to introduce a bill. It's probably going to come next week or so. That you come. How do you intend the fact that we are pressed for funds all over the place? Schooling, you know, we hear it in the news tonight about a shortage of medicines now, cancer drugs. How do you propose to build this, and maybe the source of funding?
Well, you guys hit it right on the dot earlier. The prison, to no fault of our employees or our administration, is a liability. And we've identified the problem, and now we have to solve that problem. And part of solving that problem is building a new prison. Now we have a methodology that is working. We're doing a model legislation with language, like Ukudu High School.
Okay.
That's proven.
Sure.
We built it, and now we're expanding it, and it works. It's a design, finance, and build. We have a 30-year lease-back program where the contractor takes the 100% of the liability. And what the language in this bill, and that's why it's taking so long to finally introduce it, because you have to get the wish list of Department of Corrections first and foremost, the professionals who know what they're talking about, and then you have to find out how to put it in there. So the bill's finished. We're just dotting the last couple I's and crossing the T's. But we're looking at a prison industry. To have some debt service payback. We're looking at all types of ways to debt service this prison once it's paid for. But like I said, it's a 30-year lease with a 10-year extended period. And one of the things that I really like about this bill, it's to rebuild and renovate. So what happens now is we take that Agana. We're doing millions of dollars of restorations in Agana. So now we take the Agana lockup and we move it to a centralized location in Mangilaw. So we no longer have a detention facility in the heart of our island. And we move it, we renovate that, we hold the prisoners there, more efficient, less costs. We're paying over $1 million right now in overtime. This, through austerity measures, will just cut that in half.
And then in this, as the Okudu model, you have the built-in maintenance as well. I mean, so the contractor will constantly maintain it and things of that nature.
From lights to structure, the contractor will be the one who takes care of the maintenance.
Now let me ask you this. We've heard years ago in trying to solve the prison problem. Is this? It is a kind of like a public-private partnership in the sense where
That's exactly what it is.
But let me ask you this: would this go to privatizing in the prison? Is this going to that extent where will the employees at say the Department of Corrections still be GovGov employees?
Yes, I do. I believe that the best people to run the prison are the people that have been running the prison. I don't think that. I think we need to be more efficient. I think we need to cut back on overtime.
Sure.
I think we need to
Just by hiring more people. Yeah.
Hire more people, increase efficiency in every aspect of the prison industry. Part of the bill has a chart for the director to then say, here's what I have in front of me. Here's how to make it more efficient. The language in the bill has a chart. So, do we want to be more efficient? Absolutely. But do we want to privatize the administration of the prison? At this point, I'm fine, and the legislation that I'm introducing privatizes the buildup.
The buildup.
Not the everyday.
Again, the model of the Okudu High School. At this
School.
point, the employees are GovCom employees.
Professionals build it. Professionals run it.
There you go.
I think it's a win-win situation.
We'll be right back.